Hi guys, this is gsndon.com and I'm here with the UMi Max phablet for a full review. This is a metal handset with a big battery and a nice design that comes with solid mid-range specs. You can find it on gearbest.com priced at $139 or on Everbuying priced at around $220 or also on TomTop at $149. Comes in gold or silver, as you can see here. It was announced in August and it's among the models that UMi intends to update to Android Nougat in December this year. It's a collection of technologies because it has Sharp technology on board, Samsung, Panasonic, Sony and also MediaTek. So let's discuss the design first. We're dealing with a 5.5 incher here that's both big and heavy, weighing around 200 grams, although some sources say it weighs around 185 grams, but in the end feels like 200 grams. The core aspect here, the trademark aspect, is the breathing light feature, the notification light you can see here below the screen. It's not a home button, although it seems so, and it pulsates as if the phone was breathing, and that's very nice looking. The device is made of aluminum, has a unibody chassis, measures 8.5mm in thickness, and has a very pretty 2.5D glass panel at the front that's excellently applied onto the device. The build is solid. The back has a very nice feel. It's sort of like, I don't know, satin or something like that. It's a comfy phone. It has a slightly rounded back, and in spite of being quite big, it's very easy to use with a single hand. Buttons are comfy, and we even have one extra button here with features that you can assign to it. The facade is even prettier than the iPhones, I would dare to say that, so that's a compliment. And the front is all glass and it's prone to a bit of smudges here and there. It's a nice looking phone, but quite heavy. Now, if you want to talk about the display, we're dealing here with a Full HD IPS LCD panel made by Sharp with a 5.5-inch diagonal and protection for Gorilla Glass 3. In order to play videos, you have to resort to the gallery, and let's see our usual test clip. This is it, and let's see it in full screen. Okay, so let's see what we're dealing with here. The screen is crisp and bright. It has wide view angles, and also the colors are pretty well calibrated. The contrast is, I would say, medium level. It behaves pretty decently in the sunlight. The bezels are quite narrow, and the black areas of the screen are a bit whitish, maybe too white for my taste. You can see that best here. Now, if we move on to other things, under the microscope the screen has RGB stripes pixels, and when we use the lux meter to measure the brightness, we achieved 418 lux units, which is good considering the price tag of the smartphone. It beats the OnePlus One and the LG Nexus 5X as a landmark, but it scores below the Orange Dive 71. We also have special settings for this screen, and we go to the settings area and then to the display department. There is something called Mirror Vision. We've seen it before on other phones. We got 3 picture modes: standard, vivid and user mode, with the last one also offering tweaks like contrast, saturation, brightness, sharpness, color temperature, dynamic contrast and color effect, but it's best to stick with standard. Other than that, there is also a brightness level, adaptive brightness, sleep, daydream, font size and G-sensor calibration. So all in all, a pretty solid screen for the price tag. Now on the hardware front, we're dealing here with a MediaTek Helio P10 processor of the octa-core kind, clocked at 1.8 GHz. Also the Mali T860 GPU, 3GB of Samsung LPDDR3 RAM and 16GB of storage, as well as a micro SD card slot. The phone has a pretty fluid UI and pretty good functioning. The apps open up fast, and you can run all the games you want on this phone and have as many apps as you want open in the background. There will be no lag whatsoever. Everything is quite fluid. Gaming was also handled okay, like for example Riptide GP Renegade, which is a new game launched a few weeks ago and a benchmark game because it has very intensive graphics. Here we go, I'm playing it on the UMi Max, and let's have a look at this race. We also did benchmarks and temperature tests, but first let's see how the gaming is handled. Apparently we just exited the game. Let's go back, and that was a very fast switch between apps, a testimony to the quality of the handset. Okay, we're controlling it with the tilt, and here the purpose is to navigate a series of dotted areas on the water and trying to stay on course and not fail. Okay, tap to recover. Very nice looking water effects, those water droplets. You can also hear the wind. No frame rate drop here, everything looks great. The water is excellently rendered. And everything looks just fine on the UMi Max, so gaming is handled like a champ. Okay, we're done with that aspect. Time to discuss the benchmarks, because we also did those. And we go here and here. So let's see what benchmarks we used. I'm going to start off with quadrant. Here we go. Here we scored just a little bit below the Samsung Galaxy S5, which is not a bad result at all. And in Antutu 6, one of the most relevant benchmarks right now, we had a score of 47K, which places us above the Samsung Galaxy A5 2016 and also above the Lenovo Motorola G4. In 3D Mark, which should be around here, so let's find it. This is Ice Storm and this is Ice Storm Unlimited. Pretty solid score for a mid-ranger. And here we managed to beat the Motorola Moto G4 and also the BlackBerry Passport, which was a heavy hitter back in the day. So nice performance, nice benchmarks and gaming. And we also tested the temperature after playing the game Riptide GP2 for a series of minutes, 15 minutes. We achieved 35.5 degrees Celsius, so which means there is no overheating here. And well, not only Riptide GP2 but also Riptide GP Renegade, so no overheating in the end. We usually also do a GFX bench test for the temperature, but that benchmark would not run on the device. Now, time to discuss the battery. So, inside the phone there is a Sony 4000 mAh battery, and also it's a unit with 4.35 volts capacity. Now let's see how this battery handled our tests, which usually involve HD video playback in a loop, and that gave us quite a solid time. So let's look it up, and here we go. We achieved 10 hours and 27 minutes of continuous HD video playback, which is a great result and beats the Li-Eco Li Max 2 handset, the Galaxy S6, but scores below the Lenovo Vibe X3. Then there is also the PC Mark test, simulating continuous usage of the battery, and here we scored 9 hours and 5 minutes, which is excellent. It beats the Huawei Nova Plus, the Huawei P9 Plus, but it scores a bit below the Samsung Galaxy A5 2016. Charging is a bit on the long side, 3 hours and 40 minutes, actually very long, and at least it's superior to the UMi Touch that needed 4 hours and 32 minutes to get juiced up. Now the settings related to the battery include this section here with standby intelligent power saving and those, and then we also have battery saving mode here with battery profiles. You can select one of these modes and actually customize them. There's easy mode, gray interface, sleep, airplane mode, Wi-Fi, mobile networks, Bluetooth and GPS. All of them can be activated or deactivated, and you can create your very own mode, tweaking everything here. So a lot of battery modes. In the end, a very solid battery minus the charging. Okay folks, time to talk about the acoustics. So the UMi Max provides Hi-Fi Plus acoustics. Also, it promises clear vocals and deep bass using technologies like BES Atmos and a smart PA. It doesn't come bundled with headphones, and from what I heard, only the right grill hides a speaker here, but somehow even if you cover everything up, the sound will still make it past them, which is quite nice. So there's no muffling here. The music player is on the basic side with a very basic interface and a stock equalizer with options related to genres, as you can see here, 5 custom channels, and then there's also bass boost, surround sound and preset reverb, which are rather used when attaching a pair of headphones. Okay, so it's actually louder without the EQ, keep that in mind. And now let's listen to some tunes on the handset. Okay, so conclusions, the volume is quite solid but could be louder, the sound is clear and clean, the guitar is very nicely rendered, there's a slight bit of distortion at the maximum volume, the bass was reasonable and the voices were well rendered. We did the decibel meter test and let's see what came out of that. So we go to download and this is the decibel meter, shows us 80 decibels on the dot. It feels a bit louder than that but not hugely. In the end, it beats the LG V10 and Xperia Z3 but scores below the Huawei P9 Lite, for example. Some enhancement options have been available in the settings area, and those include this: BES audio enhancer, loudness and surround for an extra boost. By the way, there's also FM radio as shown here, but you have to attach headphones for that. In the end, the acoustics are okay, but could be a bit louder if you're the kind who wants more from his handset. Now on to the camera. So at the back there is a Panasonic made shooter, 13 megapixel cam with dual tone flash, and at the front a 5 megapixel shooter for the selfies. Now the camera app is fired up like this. I would have to say it starts pretty fast, not a big objection here, and the interface is old school stock, if you can call it that. We got this effects area at the bottom, and then we got the main modes. On the left side there is a normal mode, picture in picture and panorama, and the actual usage experience involves a pretty slow zoom, as you can see, not the fastest zoom in the world, and this focus is also a bit on the slow side, and so is the picture taking. Although it may seem fast now, it takes a while till you focus and actually take the shot, especially in tougher conditions like the outdoor ones. Now the other options of the camera include this gesture option, HDR, flash, front camera option, and a few other available settings here: GPS location, face beauty, exposure, scene mode, white balance, anti-flicker, zero shutter delay, and the smile shot, ISO, picture size with the various aspects, and finally video capture up to full HD available here and with special time-lapse options. Okay, enough with the options of the camera, then to go to the gallery and see what we captured outdoors. Okay, so this is the daytime gallery. These shots were taken at the middle of September, or a very sunny day. It was past 30 degrees Celsius, so some of the shots have sort of like a sepia hue applied on top of them, and somehow they're a bit too yellowish for their own good. The details are quite okay, as you can well see in both landscape shots and close-ups. This is the picture in picture, which is more of a gimmick here. Basically selfie plus shot with the back camera, and here once again that sepia hue, especially in the background, making everything yellowish for no reason. I didn't select any filter whatsoever. In the end, clarity is quite good and also details are pretty nice, including the close-ups. Check this out, very good details of this Pluto statue. We also did an HDR that felt a bit washed out, and we started zooming in onto these wires with a surprisingly good result. As you can see, excellent level of details when zooming in. The selfies weren't very impressive. I don't like the texture of the skin, of the hair, or the background, so could be a bit better. In the end, all of these shots lack something called gloss, that thing that you notice on all the, let's say, iPhone shots, Galaxy S shots. That's lacking here, basically the gloss of the photos. Still, you can achieve some pretty solid close-ups like these ones, so that's one of the good aspects of the phone. But in the end, the problem remains here, that hue, that yellowish hue applied on top of the shots. It has trouble with the sun is my guess. The lighting was generally okay, the details were also nice, and every once in a while we did a pretty nice shot like this one here. But if you try to look closely to the details of the trees in the distance, you'll see that the leaves are a bit fuzzy. Panorama has a modest resolution, 6336 over 896 pixels, and the clarity is quite okay. It's still a bit too curved for its own good. We also had lots of burnt shots, and in the end we played with the focus with this little monument here, and we were happy with the result in spite of the background being burnt on a few occasions. I would have to say that overall I find that the quality of this camera during the daytime shots is a bit below what the UMi Touch and Vernitor offered. That's the daytime capture, photo capture. Let's see the nighttime capture. Okay, so this is video. We don't want video, we want photo. Okay, so things to remember here: we have a pretty potent flash, that's for sure. Some of the shots are grainy. We have a brick wall with a pretty okay texture. The street light halos are quite big, and there's a violet hue on top of the picture. There is no filter here. The violet hue comes out of nowhere. So in the end, probably the color or maybe the texture of the wall remains the only good thing about these shots. Otherwise, neglectable capture during the night. And once again, good flash, regular shot with flash makes quite the difference and achieves natural colors using said flash. Now, time to discuss the video capture this time. Shot with my least favorite format, 3GPP, Full HD, 30 frames per second and 17 megapixel bitrate. Time to see what we filmed. We start off with this one. It has that sepia hue all over again. It's shaky, not well stabilized. The microphone is quite okay. There is detail loss when zooming in. And it's seriously burnt. Some refocusing here and there. And now let's move forward to this shot. So here once again we have a bit of a blur, yellowish hue, burnt image, sudden refocus and also sudden exposure change. And although I praised the microphone before, there is a filming where we caught some gusts of wind and the microphone could not handle them. I have to say that even in spite of the price, the video capture could be much better, so a bit underwhelming in this area. Now during the night things get very little impressive, so to say. 7 frames per second, 2 megapixel bitrate, and basically everything moves in frames. It's basically GIF quality, but the colors remain okay. That's it, so you can forget about filming with the phone, not a very good idea. Pictures are rather good. Now when it comes to web browsing, we got this pre-installed browser with an atypical icon, and let's load up gsmdown.com. As you can see, not the fastest browser in the world, also not the slowest, so mid-level speed, stock keyboard here, and the benchmarks associated to the browser are a bit on the poor side. Now, time to discuss the connectivity. So we have Wi-Fi, we have something called Turbo Download, combines 3G or 4G with Wi-Fi for extra speedy downloads. There is Bluetooth, there is also USB Type-C here with OTG support and a hybrid SIM tray. Basically, you can place a micro SD card on one of the micro SIM slots. The UMi Max is a dual SIM dual standby phone with both SIMs being 4G compatible. It has 4G LTE of the FDD kind and also provides Wi-Fi ABGN. There is Bluetooth 4.1, GPS and OTG support. And in case you're wondering, there is no NFC or Wi-Fi direct. And now when it comes to the actual calls, they're loud, they're clear, they have a good signal and pretty solid noise cancelling. Speaking of signal and such things, let's see how we did in the speed test, which is available here. We did a bunch of tests and let's see which one impressed us the most. Okay, so this is the 4G test and this is the best result on 4G, 107 megapixel download, 44 in upload, quite solid. While in the Wi-Fi department we achieved 76 megapixel download, 21 upload. I would say we're doing quite fine on both counts. Now when it comes to the software, you probably know already, we're running on Android 6.0 Marshmallow without too much customizations or bloatware. The surprising thing is that UMi promised to update this phone and two other models of theirs with Android Nougat in December, which is quite impressive. Mostly we have stock icons with some tweaks, and then we have the multitasking, which is a carousel as usual. We got a drop down area for notifications and quick settings, also typical, an extra shortcut here if you want to pull down the virtual buttons. Let's see what else. There is also an extra button here which you can associate features to. I have associated the camera to it, and let's try to fire it up. As you can see, I've already entered the camera. By pressing it, it worked reasonably fast, I have to say. Okay, so time to go to the settings area, see what's happening here. Turbo download, connectivity options, display, apps, and Harlequin LED notification. The LED light here can be tweaked to show colors when charging, low battery, missed notifications. And you can choose the color. There's red, green, blue, yellow, cyan, violet, and default. Basically 7 hues to play with. Incoming calls, hue here, standby display once again, and it's one of the most unique and beautiful aspects about the phone. Then we have security that obviously involves the fingerprint scanner, which is set up here and has to be secured with an extra pin. Okay, this is the fingerprint scanner below the camera, and I guess it's time to test it. Okay, so you can unlock the phone from the get-go by putting your finger here. As you can see, worked like a charm, and time to do it again. It vibrates first and then it opens up the phone, and time to test it again. Okay, here we go. Once again, it doesn't feel as fast as other fingerprint scanners, but it does its job in the end. Now in the settings area we have more options, and let's see those. We got shortcut button settings. You got it, this is the shortcut button and these are its associated features. And then we have buttons, the one at the bottom of the screen, tweakable of course, battery saving mode, and background task clear. That's it in a nutshell. And when it comes to the apps, I had a pleasant surprise, no bloatware. So we have 25 pre-installed apps, which is nice. There is no useless stuff, we only have useful stuff. We got maps, we got Gmail, gallery, messaging, music, phone. There is also the calendar, we got the calculators, only the basic stuff, nice to see here. Plus the fact we're getting Nougat is top notch. So the UMi Max, time for the verdict and the pros and cons. On the pro side, solid build, a very good looking front side, excellent looking notification light, it's a trademark here, a pretty solid screen, good performance, no lag, good gaming, a solid battery, nice close-ups with the main camera, and no bloatware on board. These are the pros. On the con side, it's a very heavy phone, a bit massive, the volume could be higher when it comes to the music, the charging is on the long side, and there's that sepia hue for the pictures. Also video capture could be much better. In the end, the UMi Max remains a great mid-ranger for an affordable price, gravitating below $200 sometimes, which is very nice. Stands out to this unique LED notification. It's good for games, for Facebook, for media playback. It's solid in your hand, and it's good for long usage, maybe even in Pokemon Go. However, what's not is a video or photo capture phone, that's for sure. Remains good for Facebook, gaming, and movie watching. And can be useful for a nature retreat thanks to its generous battery. This is it from gsmdown.com. If I were to grade this phone, I would grade it at 9 out of 10. Bye bye.